Hello beautiful, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to this video that's a little bit of an impromptu get ready with me. I wanted to chat with you about the fact that there's some rumors in the corridors that Forma Brands, which is the parent company of Morphe, amongst others, are thinking about filing for bankruptcy, and I want to chat about it. What does this mean? What is the rumor about? All of these things, and I want to put my own thoughts into this. I've been doing these kind of videos for a bit on my channel. I'm thinking about maybe putting them in a playlist where I discuss the makeup industry from my point of view, which is based on opinions, but still somewhat more than a stab in the dark. If you have any suggestions, by the way, for what that playlist could be, please do let me know. I'm open for suggestions. And if you want to see more videos of these, don't forget to subscribe because I upload 5 videos a week. I'm gonna try and put this up on Monday. I'm filming this on Monday. I'm having a very slow and chill Monday, and actually during this weekend I was sent this article by a couple of you guys because you know that I like to discuss industry news and what's going on with brands and when they're in trouble and like what that could be, and like giving my somewhat informed opinions about why I think some brands might be struggling versus not. Again, I am not a professional. I am a YouTuber, and I have been a YouTuber for about 7 years. But one of the things that I do here on YouTube is that every week I come back and I report to you about the makeup news, about new makeup that's been coming out. And I will say I've had the finger on the pulse of what you seem to love and what's really popping in the makeup community for the past couple of years, and I do a little bit of consulting behind the scenes as well. And I'm not saying I'm an expert, but I do have maybe a little bit more than just a stab in the dark kind of an opinion. Again, not saying that this is true. These are my opinions, but I am gonna zoom in, I'm gonna do my makeup, and we can start by talking about what is this rumor, where did it come from, and what could it mean? Let's start with where did this rumor come from. There is, and this is an article that I found at Yahoo. I also have another article that's from like this. These are not like, I wouldn't call these super serious like news sources, but enough so that they somewhat get these like more entertainment news correctly. And I mean, a makeup brand is somewhat in that sphere. So Forma Brands, which is the parent company of Morphe, Lipstick Queen, Jaclyn Hill's brand Jaclyn Cosmetics, are considering filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, sources confirmed. A spokesperson for Forma said, Forma Brands is engaged in constructive discussions with our financial stakeholders regarding ways to strengthen the companies financially and enable us to reinforce our focus on the opportunities we see ahead for our brands. We are excited about the products we will continue to bring our customers. So the rumor came from people being familiar with the brand and familiar with the process, saying that any moves are under consideration, even a Chapter 11 bankruptcy, but stress that nothing is certain and that other options are on the table as well, including out-of-court agreements with creditors. Nonetheless, if you are having financial problems and you are needing to make a statement about it, it's usually not the best sign. And Chapter 11 bankruptcy does not mean that you are going bankrupt. It just means that you are saying, hey, things are not perfect. This is me simplifying this to the absolute most. Things are not perfect, and we need to pump the brakes and reassess so that we can pay the people that needs to be paid and just redo some loans and some credits and make sure that we are not actually going out of business. So it's a way for the brand to be like, we know that things are not looking perfect financially, but we want to stay in business and we want to pay all of you. We just need to look at all of this and just reevaluate where we are. So that is what they are considering. And I think for a lot of people, it does come as a little bit of a surprise that a brand like Forma Brands that has Morphe, let's just talk about Morphe for like a minute, that they are considering bankruptcy, because I think a lot of people thought that Morphe is an unsinkable ship, that they are doing so great, that the sales are amazing, influencers are talking about them. They used literally to be the brand, the social media brand. None of the other brands were even in the same universe as Morphe. I also saw some people saying that Forma Brand owns REM Beauty, which is Ariana Grande's brand, and that is not true. Forma Brand is not only a parent company owning beauty brands, and they especially like specialize in up and coming brands or like influencer driven brands. They are also an incubator, which means that they will help brands get started, and that is what they did with REM. And that, I mean, if you Google that, you can see that they have said that themselves, that Forma brand helped REM Beauty get started. What that means, none of us knows. It's one of the mysteries of our modern time, but they do not own REM Beauty. And if you go to the Forma Beauty website and you put like their brands, that is not one of their brands. They have Morphe, Morphe 2, I think some like Bad Habit, some kind of a supplement brand, and then Jacqueline Cosmetics, and they bought Lipstick Queen. For some, who's heard about Lipstick Queen lately? Not me. So what happened to the unsinkable ship Morphe? Morphe was started by, I think, two siblings, and they sold majority stake of Morphe at the height of Morphe. So Morphe has for a really long time not been an indie brand. They have been bought out, and then they created Forma Brands as an umbrella company when they wanted to have more brands underneath. So Morphe is now a brand under Forma brand, and I don't think that the like initial like creators of Morphe, like, you know, Linda Morphe back in the days, I don't think that she is even a main stakeholder in Forma Brands or Morphe at this time. I could be wrong, but I'm fairly sure that they have sold majority stakes in their company. And since there are such big investors behind Morphe and Forma Brands, I don't think that this is going out of business. They have gone into brick and mortar. They've started acquiring other brands like Lipstick Queen. I don't think they're going out of business, but I definitely think that they're in a phase where they're like, we need to pump the brakes. The beauty community is like in 2022 is not what the beauty community was in 2018, 2019. Stuff happened. Not only COVID, but I think COVID was like just an adding factor to people. Things come and go. It's like a pendulum. Is it called a pendulum? Like things come and go. And I feel like the beauty community right now, it's still like, I don't want to say thriving, but it's still up and going. But it's not as crazy as it was back then. I don't think that it's as hyped as it was back then. I don't think as many people are just crazy to be going out and building their collection like they were back then. And also, it is not so driven by a few very popular influencers as it was back then. And if you were here for what the Morphe craze started, which really like just skyrocketed this whole brand into popularity. I mean, Morphe was just and again, there's nothing wrong with private labels. I will leave my video about what actually is private label and why isn't necessarily not always bad. I will leave that video down below because I feel like myself, I did a somewhat decent job explaining why we are like always villainizing private labeling, which doesn't necessarily have to be that. Morphe started out with the private labeling, and then when they had more funds, they started doing their own formulas and their own products. But they were backed by some of the biggest influencers. And what Morphe was very lucky with, and I'm saying luck, or maybe they just could recognize a rising star, they were able to hone in and get people on board that really truly were the next big thing. Like they had Jeffree Star, James Charles, Jaclyn Hill, Manny MUA, Laura Lee, all those people plus more had Morphe codes, had Morphe collabs, loved working with Morphe, loved Morphe product, and probably, let's be honest here, made millions working with each other. This was probably a symbiosis that work good for both the brands and the influencers. And I truly myself don't see a problem with that as long as the people actually like the products. I've been very lucky to have affiliate codes with brands that I really like. Like I started out being customers, or I started out using their products and then eventually really liked them, and then the brand would ask you like, do you want an affiliate code? Like that's usually how it works out. And if brands that I haven't tried asks me if I want an affiliate code, I will always tell them like, I'm gonna need to try your products first, because like what if I hate them? So I don't see a problem with that. But then a bunch of these people that put them to the top, that they were so closely tied to, had a very big and very public fall from grace. And Morphe had already invested so much in these people and in the image of these people being ambassadors and spokespeople for the brand. So when they had a fall from grace, Jeffree Star, James Charles, Manny MUA, Laura Lee, Jaclyn Hill, some of them have come back, some of them have not. It probably dragged the brand down with them. Maybe for good or bad, like maybe they weren't so good at seeing the future as they thought they were. But I really think that that is probably one of the reasons that shifted people's love for Morphe, because it was a brand that was loved by people that they loved, and then when public opinion about some of these people shifted, so did people's view on the brand. But I don't think that that is the biggest reason why Morphe is not as poppin' as it used to be. I don't think that that is the biggest reason. So let me talk about that. I'm gonna be trying, I have it here, let me show you in the middle of everything. I'm gonna be trying the ColourPop Troublemaker and this new collection. Like I have 3 of the jelly shadows and I have 3 of the luxe. So I'm gonna apply this one. It's in Total Punk. I'm gonna do that. I don't want to do like a vampy lip. So I'm gonna apply that one, and then we can do the eyeshadow palette, and because you really wanted to see a look. And we can do that while I'll talk about what I actually think is like the biggest problem. Well, I think there's 2 things. There's 2 things that I think is the biggest like issue as to why they're not doing as good, like as hot. We can talk about that. Have I ever tried this liquid lipstick, Luxe Velvet? Have I ever tried this formula? This is so light and so moussey and like silicone-y in a good way. Wow. I'm actually blown away by that. Is so nice. I will link these things down below. I mean, this video is not about me using the makeup. I was just so shocked. Because I don't think I've tried the Luxe Velvet. That's beautiful. I mean, I love it. Why am I so shocked? I have no idea. That was lovely. But yeah, let me put up some pictures, just some pictures and some swatches of the palette as I'm putting on some eye primer. I will link, of course, everything that I'm using down below. I did get this palette in PR, and a bunch of you were like, and when I say a bunch of you, I really do mean a slew of you were like telling me, please, you want to see something with this palette. So I thought I'd include it in this chatting with Ready With Me, because I wasn't feeling doing like a dedicated video on it, but I thought that maybe this could be like a good way for me to just show you some swatches, show you some close-ups, and just, I don't know, give you some inspiration of what you could do with the palette. I did, like I said, receive this in PR, and I do have a code with ColourPop, and my code is Angelica. Do you remember the onslaught of Morphe codes back in the day? I said, I don't have a problem with anyone getting affiliate codes with the brand you truly love, as long as like you love the products. That doesn't bother me at all. But I think for me, the thing that made me like roll my eyes a little bit is that they would literally mention it 4 or 5 times in every video, even if the video was not about Morphe. And that's where I'll go like, come on. So I think I'm gonna start with this one, and I'm gonna blend it out with that one, and we'll take it from there. And I think that that was probably also what made people feel a little weary about influencers maybe being disingenuous about Morphe, because they kept bringing the code up so many times every video, even though the video was not about Morphe. They're not even reviewing a Morphe product. It just became a little bit too much, I guess. But that's neither here nor there. I don't think necessarily that the biggest problems for Morphe is that influencers were not pushing it as much, which they weren't. And here comes maybe then reason 1. Reason 1 why I think that Morphe is not doing as good today as they did back then is that when these initial big influencers had their rise and fall, there was no one after to really pick up what was left of it and be like, okay, that was a shame, but Morphe's still a good brand, like I still like the products. Because when the dust had settled, everyone started realizing that who really liked Morphe products? Who really bought and liked Morphe products? Who was out there actually genuinely enjoying their Morphe products? I've done quite a few reviews on Morphe on my channel, some of them pretty old, and I remember me saying in a video being like, there's nothing wrong with this brand, but it is just not as good as people are saying that it is. And that was my personal feelings, and I know that there's a bunch of people out there there's probably going to be like, no, I love Morphe, it is so accessible, I love the quality, it is affordable, I love the colors. I know there's going to be people out there that feel like that, but on social media there was a little bit of crickets, and I think that maybe they were suffering a little bit from the same diseases as Revolution brand, which was, at the end of the day, the quality wasn't 100% there. So when they had to rely on selling products based on them just being better than their competitors, they just weren't. They just weren't. They were just cheaper than their competitors. And there were other stuff out there at a similar price point that just seemed more fun, more exciting, and that people were loving more. When people were talking about good affordable lipsticks or brow products that they really love, or affordable concealers at the drugstore at Ulta, no one really said Morphe, because at the end of the day it seemed like most people either got tired of them because of how like pushed they were there for a couple of years, and maybe they hadn't actually tried the products, or that people genuinely didn't enjoy the quality. And that I can say for me, that is one of the reasons why I don't feature Morphe on my channel. It's not like, oh my god, I hate Morphe so much. It's that I tried a couple of things from them and I didn't really love the quality. It was like, okay. Some of it was okay. Some of it was kind of bad. I tried an eyeshadow palette. The last eyeshadow palette I tried from Morphe, I kind of disliked. And it really turned me off the brand and made me go like, I can get better stuff at this price point from BH Cosmetics, from Juvia's Place, from ColourPop. Like, there were affordable brands out there that were doing stuff that I preferred over Morphe, and that's just my point of view of like the stuff that I like, because I can only talk for me. But like, I won't talk about a brand on my channel if I just don't enjoy the quality, even though it might be affordable at the drugstore. And I will say that I have been enjoying lately talking a little bit more about like drugstore products or things that are like on the drugstore section of Ulta, because those things were not like available to me when I was living in Sweden. So it's like, for me, that's new and hip and fun. I know that's a very boomer thing to say, but I still have not been diving into Morphe, because I will say the packaging, it is very black and generic. It doesn't feel super luxurious, but it's also like not playful in the way that some, like, because you don't have to have luxurious packaging if you are a drugstore or an affordable brand. Like, you really don't. But there are some brands that are like, okay, so we cannot do super luxurious custom packaging, but we can be a little bit more playful. And I think that at the end of the day, when you go to a Morphe like stand at an Ulta, it's all just looking so black packaging and generic that, at least for me, it doesn't draw me in. And so many of their eyeshadow palettes look so similar that I'm not gonna be there like, I'm dying to try one of these. And I do think that them betting like all their money on these influencers to carry them to success probably didn't pay off, because when they then had their fall from grace, and even when some people came back, like just looking at Laura and Manny, they're not talking about Morphe anymore. Even though they have come back from the drama that they had and are able to, you know, which they should be, you know, people grow and people move on and they can show that they're better people, they're still not really talking about Morphe. Not that they are canceling the brand or like not using the products, but it's obvious that they moved on. And a lot of these people that I talked about as well, they have their own brands now. Laura has her own brand, Manny has her own brand, Jeffree Star has his own brand. I mean, that fallout was a little bit more for a different reason, and same with like James Charles. I think those are in a different level of cancellation. And also Jaclyn Hill has her own brand, and even though her brand is under Forma brand, it makes me think, how is that going then? Because they rolled out big. Like her gondola is big in every Morphe store, almost every Morphe store. And it does make you wonder, and that brings me to my next point, which is brick and mortar. I think I'm gonna deepen this up a little bit with this one. It has some shimmers in it. You can see it's like a matte, but like almost like a duochrome purpley shimmer. Honestly, with this look right here, you could probably just do this purpley like gray teal duochrome all over the lid and be done. But I'm just gonna tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do this one in the outer corner, and then I think I am gonna do the silver. This one, because I feel like silver is the right choice. I might meet up with a little bit of this in the bridge in between, but just so you know, because like I said, we're not going to be talking about this. I honestly think that Morphe was so successful during these years. What can it be? 2015, 16, 17 maybe? I think that they were so successful that they probably had a little bit of hybris, and the company that bought them out probably saw potential in an ever-growing kind of a business that had some of the biggest influencers behind them, and this was a booming industry, and like people were seemingly loving the products, and they went big. They started brick and mortar Morphe stores, and I will say I have been to a couple of Morphe stores, and I truly do not, I wonder how good they do. Okay, let me rephrase this in a bit so it doesn't seem like I know what's going on behind the scenes, because I don't. But like, the stores are very, the ones that I've been to like 3 or 4. They're very big and vast, and it sometimes is just a on and on and on the same product. There will be like brown eyeshadow palette, brown eyeshadow palette, brown, like 7 in a row, and then you go further into the store and it's the same 7 eyeshadow palettes again, and it just seems almost a little like a empty, blown out showroom in a way where it's like, it's more like a bragging project than an actually successful brick and mortar store that makes sense. And I think that they probably overestimated how popular these stores were gonna be, and how much they probably were thinking that this was gonna be like, I am so excited to be able to go to a Morphe store and see all of these influencer makeup things and just, you know, buy my favorite makeup brand. And I think that they miscalculated how hyped this was gonna be. And they were also taken in other brands that are sold in Morphe stores, like there's some Myrix and Nabla and some other brands. Like, of course, they had Jeffree Star Cosmetics. They don't any longer. They also have Jacqueline Cosmetics. I don't know if they have OPV Beauty in, because they helped to start the brand, even though they're not owning it. I'm not 100% sure about that. I think that OPV Beauty being or not being successful doesn't really have anything to do with this situation. But I might be wrong about that. But I don't think that their economics is affecting the Forma Brands economics. Let me just put it like that. But I think that they were hoping that this was going to take off and they were going to be the new Ulta. This is me taking a stab in the dark. I'm thinking that they were like, this is going to take off. Everybody loves Morphe. We are an unsinkable ship, an unstoppable train. We are a force of nature. This is going to take off. We're going to be so successful. We're going to be so like such a trendsetter. And I think they overinvested in the brick and mortar market, and then some things happened. The beauty community had Armageddon 1, Armageddon 2, Armageddon, well, what are we at? 8. But like, so many things happened, and Morphe kind of got mixed up into all of that, even though I don't necessarily know if that was warranted, but it just made the brand seem shady. And then we had COVID. And I think that they had probably thought that they have invested in a way that their success was just going to continue like this. And when it didn't, they didn't have as much leeway as they should have had. Ooh, with like the bad times coming. And I don't know, do you watch, who's that like YouTuber? He's doing all of these amazing like documentaries about like abandoned and bankrupt. Let me actually go in. Now I want to see what his name is because I've been obsessed with his videos. Okay, I know I watched one of his videos not too long ago, and it is Bright Sun Films. Absolutely adore the channel, and I feel like a lot of the things that I think happened with Forma Brands and why they are now considering Chapter 11 bankruptcy because of what's going on within behind closed doors, let's say. I think that is mainly due to them overestimating what kind of an impact they were going to have in the brick and mortar market. And then, of course, the influencers fall from grace together with that, and COVID as a cherry on top. So I did use a little bit of this like white Super Shock in my inner corners, and now I am gonna open this jelly match that is called Emo Inside. And it's like a dark purple with shimmer in it, not glitter, shimmer. And I think I'm gonna use this and just do a liner. That's what's going on. Okay, so there's absolutely zero chance of me doing anything with my hair today, just so that we're all clear on that. I actually got this one from my friend. This is the Stella face palette from Nomad Cosmetics. My friend accidentally got an extra, and she asked the brand if she could give it away, so she gave it to me. So this is the blush and highlighter palette, and like I told you, like I was interested in trying this, but I thought I was gonna wait for some reviews. So I'm excited that I didn't have to spend my own money on this, because like I told you, I'm trying to just hold back a little bit. That is very pretty. Just trying to like hold back a little bit and just be a little bit more mindful. Not that I'm like low on cash, but like there are other things that I want to spend my money on too, not just makeup. Like there are more things in the world that I love. Maybe I want to buy some League of Legends skins, huh? What do you think about that, huh? What you gonna do, huh? So with this all being like said and done, do I think that they're gonna go even into Chapter 11 bankruptcy? Because this is just them saying like, we're exploring opportunities. But it does mean that like something is not going amazingly. The investors are having doubts, questions about like what's going on, and the brand is just not on top of the game the way that they used to be. I'm using a little bit of the highlighter here. So it brings up a little bit of like, so what is gonna happen? And honestly, I don't know. There's a bunch of brands that have gone into Chapter 11 bankruptcy and they're still up and running. Stila, for example, BH Cosmetics got bought out. And then we have like brands like Forever 21, for example. They went into bankruptcy, and I mean, their stores are still open. Let me use a little bit more of that blush. So it doesn't necessarily mean that when they are considering that, does that mean that like, oh, Morphe's going out of business? No, it doesn't mean that. But it does mean that things are not the way that they should be, and that they're definitely not thriving the way that they did when I got on social media. Because I started my channel in 2015 and people were going on and on about Morphe, and I never really got on the train. Not that I necessarily hated them, even though I did hate one of those 9 pan palettes that I reviewed. I tried actually 2 of the 9 pan palettes that I reviewed. Was that like 2-3 years ago? Oh, they were so bad. But overall, I mean, their products have been pretty good. I do like the quality of most of the things I've tried from Jaclyn Cosmetics. Never really tried Morphe 2. I feel like Morphe 2 was their way of being like, okay, so Morphe is too stale for TikTok. Let's try and capture TikTok with Morphe 2. And I don't think that they necessarily did that. Like, I don't think that that had the result that they were kind of hoping for. This is, again, me just guessing. Lipstick Queen, don't know what she's doing. Is that brand even at Sephora anymore? I feel like they're not in Sephora anymore. Oh, wait, they're in Sephora in Sweden. Or maybe they're not even Sephora in Sweden. I don't know. And, like, the Bad Habit and that, like, supplement brand, no idea what they're doing. No idea what they're doing whatsoever. So I feel like at this point, their portfolio is lacking a brand that's poppin'. And they have put, obviously, a lot of money into brick and mortar and a lot of money into gondolas in other brick and mortar stores. And what I'm thinking is, I think they overcommitted. I think they overcommitted, and now they're trying to sit down and be like, how are we gonna get ourselves out of this without going bankrupt now that we did overcommit like this? My guess would be, and this is me guessing, now I'm at the guessing stages, I think they're gonna close some more Morphe stores. Because I mean, there's a mall death going on right now. People are not shopping in malls. There's something to remember. If you still want to have malls in the future, if you still want to have brick and mortar stores in the future, you kind of have to visit them. Like, you kind of have to go there if you want to have that in the future. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them close down stuff like that. I honestly would not even be surprised if they close down Morphe too. Like, is that brand doing anything? I don't know. I would love to see some innovation from the brand, if I'm gonna be honest. I don't know about the quality of the products, but it's all looking pretty bland. And maybe the brand is bland. What do I know? I would love to hear your thoughts about this. What do you think about this? What do you think is gonna happen? Why do you think that this is? Have you heard about this news? Was this like brand new news to you? Because like it was kind of news to me, like when I got the, because a couple of you like were sending me the articles, and if you ever see something like this in the future, please let me know. I would love to hear about it. Twitter is usually the best way to contact me because I have the least followers on Twitter, but yeah, I would love to hear about it. I did not really see this coming, but I will say that the thought had crossed my mind. I wonder how Morphe is doing now that they invested so much in brick and mortar with like COVID and the mall death going on. So please let me know your thoughts down below. Try to keep it civil. Like, I don't want to have a war down in the comments. We all know how it can be sometimes. If someone is being incredibly rude or if someone cannot behave respectfully, I will delete your comment. So if your comment gets deleted, it's because you're not acting the way you should be acting around grown-ups, and we all need to shape up and do better. I hope you're having an amazing day, and I will see you again tomorrow for a new video. Bye.